Hi, welcome to BFM Uncensored. Today we have Dato Ambiga Sreenevasan, a lady that needs absolutely no introduction. And we're going to talk to you today about, I guess, the state of Malaysian politics and, I guess, public engagement with it. Because this is something that has always been, bothered me. In the sense that where we are as a society, I mean, we're in a great position. I think we're debating ideas, we're arguing, we're not accepting everything blindly. But at the same time, I find that more so now, with more heightened rumors of elections being around the corner and stuff like that, I think people have hunkered down in their respective sides. And do you think that's healthy? Because I think it's kind of stifled debate.
Okay. All right. Let me start by saying that since 2008, the interesting phenomenon is that we actually have a viable opposition, and that can only be healthy for the country. So, but the problem is that I believe the Barisan National is not used to the idea of a viable opposition. They are seen as the enemy, and they have always been described as the enemy. So they both argue with each other as if the other is the enemy, right? And I suppose that happens all over the world. But the point is that what's been thrown at the opposition sometimes I feel is excessive, because Barisan is the one that controls the press and so on. So, but it is a learning process. Change is never easy. Change is difficult. And these elections are going to be really interesting, because I actually think the Malaysian public has become much more interested in what's happening politically than ever before.
I think we are more engaged than we've ever been.
Absolutely. You can't help people taking sides. I mean, to me, that's a given.
Oh, but that's part of democracy.
Yes.
I think partisanship is a good thing. I think it means that every idea is heard.
Yes,
right.
Every idea is heard. But I think once you even the playing field, which is what we are about, what Bersih is about. Once you even that playing field, then I think you will see a free and fair election, a very interesting election, an election that we can all enjoy actually, to some extent, because you're seeing democracy in progress. But my fear is that's not going to happen.
Right.
That's not going to happen. And I'd like to see Barisan actually raise its level. You see, I was at the Pakatan convention this weekend. I heard them talk about policies and so on, about federalism. They've thought about the things, and at least they're thinking, and they're trying to come up with some ideas. And so I was quite impressed with that. That was quite nice. But then you come back, and then you see what Barisan is on about. They're talking about sodomy and sex, and So I really wish they would move on from that.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I took away from the end of the Anwar trial, or the acquittal, was, for me, I was just like, oh wow, now I hope finally we can talk about issues. And those charamas can be about things that matter for
Absolutely.
a change. But what do you think about this? I find that we fall into the trap of assigning moral value to one side and the other. So, the young, I guess, a certain amount of liberal opposition supporters will say, we are righteous, we are good, and therefore everyone on the other side is evil.
Yes.
And a very good example is I had a good friend who was joined the Ministry of Sports and Youth, right? And he was working for them, and I think he said that all his activist friends have stopped speaking to him. And what do you think about that? I mean, are we at that point where it's black and white, this or nothing at all?
Oh, not at all. I agree with you. I think some people do think that way, but that's wrong. Because let me tell you, as far as where UMNO and Barisan National, I have problems with many of the things that they say and do. But I have friends there too, and I engage with them. And I know that they don't like some of the things that's happening. And I'm hoping, actually, what I'm hoping is to see an eventual rejuvenation where these youngsters will come up and they will lead the party. My own view is it's a process of change that must go on. But I agree with you. You can't fight with people because they have different political views.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I get attacked. I mean, I have, and this is another sad thing. I don't know why they're spending money on cybertroopers. Such a waste of time, because you can block them, right?
Yes, you can. They create fake Facebook pages and Twitter accounts, and they do,
This is government backed.
Yeah.
Are they seriously thinking this is the way we should be going? It's actually shocking. No one should be doing it, neither opposition nor the government.
But it's based on a very, I would think, 70s propaganda-ish way of
frightening
methodology, right?
Methodology.
Because that's how you would function in the past. You would get only it would be the print press, and it would be. But now it's cyberspace, and anonymity is even easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then they tell lies and they repeat it over and over again. I know because I've suffered it, and I continue to suffer it, by the way. And it's stepping up, I can see. So I'm wondering whether elections are around the corner. But this whole thing about. So anyway, so yeah, I think really that we must allow the space for these other voices to come up. But that is something the party has to do.
Mm-hmm.
If the Barisan is not going to allow these voices to come forth, then that's their failing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think all parties have to do that. So yeah, I mean, to me, actually, we're at an interesting time, but I also think this is going to be the dirtiest elections that we're going to see. Sorry, but I think they're
define dirty.
Dirty, they're going to use everything in the book, throw everything, muck, basically.
Right.
When I say dirty, I mean absolutely dirty.
Oh, just muckraking, yeah.
Filth,
absolute
okay?
filth,
I'm
yeah.
talking about filth.
Yeah.
It's going to be
And I
out
think my reading is that probably Selangor will be the dirtiest fight.
Yes, and why should it be? That's my point, you see. Especially when it's government backed. That it's horrifying to me that the government can actually back things like this. Can actually back sexist comments and racist comments and religious bigotry. It's shocking to me, and that's where they're losing ground. You see,
we hide under the shroud of politics.
Yes,
in the sense that we've differentiated. We've drawn a line between statesmanship and politics.
Yes.
And politics means anything goes.
Yes.
And it was
and it
like,
cannot be.
I was speaking to my base.
Yes.
And that's an excuse that we try and run away with.
Yeah. And it's not acceptable to me. And I will judge Pakatan the same way. Yeah? And so far, okay. Well, let's see.
Because it's important to keep them honest as well.
Absolutely.
If not, we'll just end up where we were all along.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you to play Soothsayer.
As to
when do you think?
Elections. I was just asked that question, by the way. It's a tough one, It's a tough one, actually. I think, okay, this is going by rumours and feeling and everything, possibly June. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think March, of course, this 500 ringgit, by the way, to me is a total election bribe, which is being paid out. Yes, the brim.
Yeah.
I think the payments are to be made by March. So one would anticipate shortly thereafter there should be elections.
And also, I think Dewan Negara's final sitting is closer towards June, isn't it? So probably after that.
Yes. That's what I'm thinking. But then you see, I don't know. Malaysians have very short memories. So when you give them 500 ringgit today, they'll forget it in 1 week's time. And the government knows that. So I would have thought that if they're giving out all this money, our money, by the way, they should have elections very shortly thereafter. But there could be some practical issues. Mm-hmm. And don't forget, the acquittal of Anwar has strengthened the Pakatan, I think. All right? Okay. The government has got some brownie points. Mm-hmm. But it has also strengthened the opposition.
See, my reading of the acquittal of Anwar was that it's status quo. Only because I think, yet again, going back to how we've made up our minds and hunkered down, I don't think we don't change our minds. In the sense that a good argument, the virtue of a good argument doesn't seem to matter as much. So I don't think anyone's sitting there going, he's been acquitted, I've changed my mind about the man, I don't think anyone's going to read NST and go, maybe they have a point.
But there are fence sitters.
There are?
That's what elections are about. It's about appealing to the fence sitters, not those who have already made up their minds
I've
for a long
yet to
time.
meet those people. I always meet the angry people.
I know. I'm one of them. But let me tell you, when you say angry, I am really angry at the way they have pushed this country down to what it is.
Yeah.
Okay? There was no need.
Yeah.
There was no need to push us to this level, to this very low level. No need at all. And let me tell you, I was speaking to a journalist, an international journalist recently, and he said to me, and this was shocking to me, he travels Africa and everywhere, he says the politics in Malaysia are the dirtiest he has ever seen from all sides. Now, when I heard that, I was shocked.
Wow.
Do you know what that means? That means we're all immune. That's very frightening.
Jaded, right? Yeah, absolutely.
We are so used to filth. No, for goodness sakes. As I said, Sodomy 1. When Sodomy 1 was there, our children read all about Sodomy 1, so they all know what sodomy is. And just in case they forgot, we had Sodomy 2, right?
Yeah. When it came out, I remember saying that, you would never find the word sodomy on the front page of any newspaper anywhere else in the world. It's just not family friendly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But thank you so much for your time. That was great. And we hope to see you soon.
Cheers.